Please join me in welcoming Dr. Udo Lange.
Thank you, Caroline. Good morning, everybody. FedEx is really proud to be the sponsor this year of the 93rd World Trade Week. And I'm really delighted to be here in Los Angeles. And I'm personally honored to be your keynote speaker today. So, of course, global trade has a lot of challenges nowadays. And let's dive right into the topic. And I brought something for you. I brought a fidget spinner. So who in the audience is a proud owner of one, or I heard yesterday there's somebody who even had 10 at home. So who is a proud owner of a fidget spinner? Please raise your hands. Who has used this fidget spinner within the last 2 weeks? Keep the hands up, everybody else put it down. So there was a time, apparently, people bought fidget spinners. Well, I contributed to it. I have 2 kids, and they came home and said, everybody has a fidget spinner, not only a cell phone, also a fidget spinner. And I said, what is that even? Don't worry, just buy us one. So I have 2 kids. I made a mistake and said, okay, I buy one. We really don't need it. They get in a fight into it, and my 10-year-old threw it into the pool. Of course, it broke and had to buy 2 more. So anybody an idea how many fidget spinners got sold in 2017 worldwide? Throw some numbers out. A billion. That would be even bigger. That's a pretty big number. Anybody with smaller numbers around? Because that's like every 7th person on the world has a fidget spinner already. That's the number right there. 50 million fidget spinners got sold of a product we really didn't know that we needed it. And today that we know we really don't need it. But what is even more fascinating about this thing is how it got shipped. Our colleagues here from the ports would say, well, that's prime for ocean freight. It got shipped air. This thing got shipped air, and it paid the highest air freight rates in the market. So why was it? Because the companies producing the fidget spinner knew nobody needed it. But there was a hype out there. And I need to hit the point of sale at the time where the people still want the fidget spinner. And if I put it on ocean freight and that hype is over, I may sit on 50 million fidget spinners that nobody needs, and they fill up warehouses. So I'd rather put them into air freight, and I pay the highest premium price, and I express fidget spinners so people can buy them for ridiculous high prices. Isn't that amazing, the world we live in today? So we not only have ash clouds and port strikes, no, we have also fidget spinners, e-commerce, and all that stuff that affects global trade. So let me start with one of my favorite quotes, and that's from Einstein. So we see all these challenges in global trade. And Einstein said, if you cannot solve a problem on your level, bring it one abstraction level higher. And that's what we're going to do this morning together. So many of you probably know the tool SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, to understand your own business on a micro level. There's another tool, it's called PEST, and that helps you to understand macroeconomic trends. And PEST is about political, economical, social, and technological factors. So let's use this tool this morning and see what we learn about global trade and dive right into it. On the political side, of course, we heard it already before, the US-China trade situation. Well, trade lanes are affected. The growth in China is slowing down, and it's eroding the consumer confidence globally. There are exclusion request process for the China tariffs makes doing business really difficult, as you know. So either you don't have the US product available, or you have tariffs and they cause severe economic harm to the petitioner. I'm originally from Germany, so of course the European Union is close to my heart. But when the European Union, you had the idea, and where you are now, that's probably not what the founders all envisioned. That the UK suddenly creates a new word, which is called Brexit. So there's suddenly somebody who says, no, I don't see the benefit anymore of being part of this. I want to exit, and I'm Britain, so I Brexit. So now that, of course, causes significant challenges to trade, because Brexit is a concern both from a policy perspective and a potential impediment to trade. And I always love stuff being in the detail. Well, I'm German, my team always is complaining, you're too detailed. But the devil is in the detail. And there's a fantastic stat here. It shows 44% of the food consumed in the UK is imported from the European Union, but even more only through one port, the port of Dover. So imagine now, Brexit happens, if the border situation in Dover has not ratcheted up significantly on customs support, the UK will starve. They will not have enough food. So it's these little things which suddenly, oh, this was all used before, and now suddenly you understand, wow, what are the challenges that you have in there? Let's go into the second dimension, economics. So economics, as you see, is volatility of supply chain velocity is going under tremendous change nowadays. And in preparation for this speak, I was just interested in learning how is traditional Christmas stocking up against the Black Fridays, the Cyber Mondays, or even the Mother's Days and the Valentine's Days. And I found some fascinating stats there. We ship as FedEx more volume on Cyber Monday and Black Friday than on Christmas Day. We ship more volume on Valentine's Day and on Mother's Day together than on Christmas Day. So you see this classic time where you had one peak during the year, these are over. You have many spikes during the year. And as we learned from the fidget spinner, you need to have your product on the point of sale when that moment is there, or you will not have it. So you may now have a completely different velocity in your supply chain during the course of the year. You may want to hit the Black Friday and you express stuff right into it, but afterwards, well, maybe I ocean freight it, or I have an LCL shipment, or I have a deferred air freight. So in doing the course of the year, I change my overall supply chain strategy. Let's move further to the social side. So there it's always interesting, what is happening globally? And it's fascinating, if you look forward into 2040, India will be the third biggest economy in the world. But Indonesia will be among the top 10. And there are many, many other countries which suddenly emerge. And it's interesting, what does that mean for your businesses today, and how will we react to these trends? In addition to that, of course, e-commerce is a big elephant in the room. And it drives massive growth globally because it gives more people access to the global economy and helping their communities to thrive. And e-commerce is helping innovators change their communities. One of my favorite examples here is actually Medellin, Colombia, which recently was voted by the Wall Street Journal as the most innovative city in the world. And so we have one of our customers, and they help. It's an innovation hub in poorer neighborhoods to transform their communities. So what this customer is doing, they are a watchmaker, and thanks to e-commerce, they can now, out of Medellin, Colombia, reach the whole world with their watch and turning really the city around and helping to thrive that environment. So if you take that on the whole global level, by 2020, 52% of the world's population is expected to be online, which will be 2.5 billion people. And probably by then, 2.5 people will buy a fidget spinner. I think your number must be right. In addition to that, that gets accelerated because you have Generation Z and the millennials, which are the most active digital generations ever. So let's go to the next point, technology. So the proliferation of technology combined with the rising middle class in emerging markets makes this digital world borderless and allows for an increase in trade for e-commerce. A very fascinating trend here is actually blockchain. And that is another trend that will change how we do business. Blockchain is a shared, immutable ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets in a business network. It is a simple yet brilliant way of passing information from point A to B in a fully automated and, most important, safe manner. And there's a really amazing quote of our founder and chairman, Fred Smith, on this topic. He says, "The information about the package is as important as the package itself. Tracking is important since it helps regulate internal transactions and safeguard information. With blockchain, custodial records are pristine and unalterable." Now it comes. This technology will be a game changer for the logistics industry. He went on to state that any business not taking the time to engage and invest are prone to extinction. That's really powerful. So let's spend a few minutes on this trend. What was the last really big revolutionary thing in world trade that changed everything? Containerization. Containerization created a standard on the physical level which really enabled global trade. Now take Fred Smith's quote. You have the physical level here, but you have the information flow here, and there is no information flow standard. If blockchain, or when blockchain has achieved this information flow standard, then you have containerization here as a physical standard, and you have blockchain as your information standard. That will change how we all do business. So, of course, it's not easy. The world has not yet agreed on one currency overall. The world has not yet agreed on one language overall. But interesting, the world was able to agree on one container standard. So will the world be able to agree on blockchain standards? And there's massive benefits, of course, for the whole world in doing so. So a very interesting trend to watch out for. So now we did this macroeconomic pest. So it's really interesting how you, as a company, then respond to that on a micro level. And I want to share with you what we are doing at FedEx. So on the political side, we have a commitment to our customers to help them navigate through these challenges. And I have two really interesting customer quotes for you. One customer said, "Regulatory compliance is critical. We are switching from the forwarder brokers to professional brokers where brokerage in itself is a top priority." Why are they saying that? Because through information technology, of course, regulatory compliance was always important, but now everything is transparent. I need to have a broker who really keeps me out of jail any minute and who is my trusted advisor. Another customer said, "Our priority number one in our supply chain is to de-risk the supply chain and consolidate the hundreds of local brokerage vendors around the globe. Because it's too risky, I have too many." So we at FedEx, we are proud to be the largest customs brokerage entry filer in the US. But we have very strong global capabilities. In Australia, we were among the first companies who got the Australian government Trusted Trader certificate. And we see us as a trade advisor for our customers. And we see the growing demand for managed trade services supported by advanced technology. And I always joke with my team, and we have here our Vice President for Customs Brokerage, Beth Rochelo here. Beth, please stand up. And Cindy Allen, she's on the panel later for regulatory compliance. And I always say, This team is our brokerage university. These are the most knowledgeable people in this space, and the space is highly complicated, so they are our trusted advisors here. On the other hand, of course, as part of these trends, it's important to anticipate where you need to be to provide solutions. So if you think about US and China tariffs, so companies are thinking about, should I go to Malaysia, to Singapore, to Vietnam? And FedEx being a global player, of course, we have anticipated these needs, and we are in these markets. And here in LA, during 2018, trade disputes and renegotiations of trade agreements increased the volume of imports as buyers and sellers were trying to minimize the negative consequences, including the price increases and the tariffs. And the adjustment and changes in supply chain management, increases in sourcing from developing countries, and the attraction of direct foreign investments has solidified the LA region as the main trade hub in the country. So let's take a moment and celebrate this strong commitment to global trade here in LA. And back to the Brits. How do you prepare for Brexit? Well, we have a very simple strategy. We just say, prepare for the worst, and you are prepared for everything. So we are preparing for a hard Brexit, and then we have different scenarios that we peel off. And we say, okay, if this happens, this is our solution set. If this happens, this is our solution set. So that's how we are going about it. In addition to that, we are really uniquely positioned through our experience in international and cross-border logistics to provide our customers with the outstanding service regardless of challenges resulting from Brexit through this approach. On the economic side, I talked before about the change in the velocity. So if you think about, and some of your procurement departments may approach this today this way, I call it the swim lane procurement. So you have companies and they go out and they have an express tender. And then they have a deferred air freight tender. And then they have an ocean freight tender. And then they have an LCL tender. And all of these are about optimizing that respective swim lane. So now we learned before about all these peaks. It's not about optimizing the swim lane anymore. It's about optimizing the supply chain on a particular lane. So now I want to ship express at a time, I want to ship deferred, I want to ship ocean, I want to ship LCL, and so on. And of course, FedEx is uniquely positioned for that. We can help you through the whole year in balancing your supply chain at the right velocity. And I'll give you an example from one of our customers, because this has a lot to do with peak. I was in Shenzhen very early, far away from the Christmas peak, and I asked the customer, what is your outlook for peak? And the customer said, hey, you know what? Nobody has asked us this question, so why would you? So I asked back and said, well, which company performed last year the best for you? Oh, and the customer said, hands down, it was FedEx. I said, well, that's why we asked this question earlier. Because we want to be prepared, and we want to deliver the Purple Promise. You see this pin here. The Purple Promise is our commitment to make every customer experience outstanding. And working through peak with companies who are peaking, but also who are not peaking, because they get affected through the capacity issues, is absolutely critical. Let's move on to the next one, the social dimension. The cross-border capabilities are critical. You heard earlier about how important e-commerce is. And FedEx, of course, is leading in this space and acquired P2P mailing, which opened up new capabilities. We have flexible delivery options, end-to-end tracking, and commercial clearance solutions for business of all sizes. This allows merchants to reach customers in more than 200 countries and territories around the world with a very cost-effective shipment solution. Let's close out on the technology side. We are focused on technology solutions, and I brought something for you. Not only a fidget spinner, which is small, I thought I have to bring something big as well. Out of our 3D printing area. Because 3D printing is also changing the world. This is 3D printed. And we have many other pieces. Christina, if you can give them around the room to just give the team an idea of what is already possible with 3D printing. This is a fixture for one of our airplane doors, and it's a checking tool. This tool helps to really check whether the spare parts are produced right and fit into the plane afterwards. It saves a lot of money in our operation. So now think about if these things and all the others that I'm distributing, it's possible to print that with 3D. What will this mean for our supply chains? Well, spare parts will go into the cloud, because you don't have all this inventory anymore out there in your distribution centers and the forward stocking locations. It's all this headache because the spare part is never there where you need it. You have an image of the spare part in the cloud, and now you need it. And you have a 3D printing capability in Memphis. It gets printed right away, and it gets express shipped to the mechanic who then can build it in. It changes the whole way how you do supply chain management on the spare part side. And with blockchain, of course, we talked about that. We can go beyond asking, where's my package, to how is my package. You have today maybe 25 scans on a package. With blockchain, you will have 25,000 scans that include temperature, humidity, light, position. Everything that you want to know and don't want to know about the package is known. Isn't that amazing? It gives us trusted data and analytics that gives us global commerce patterns in real time. So that's why it's so critical for us. And I recommend you also look into it. We, for example, work very closely with the US government on CBP and look at customs processing and trade facilitation. Because today it's a very paper-intensive process, and blockchain has tremendous opportunity here to simplify that. But even more important, blockchain doesn't just help authenticate a shipment, it also helps prevent counterfeiting, protect companies from legal liability, and safeguards your intellectual property. So I know you've been on a wild chase here with Einstein, past, starting there on the macroeconomic level. I shared a little bit what we have done here at FedEx on a micro level. I encourage you, think about, well, what does it mean for you on a micro level? And how are you responding? Because this is what has made sense for us and our customers. And as you've probably seen, you have to get ahead of these trends and determine what is really needed for you in your business. And we at FedEx, we are here with our 450,000 employees globally to serve you and delight you every day and help deliver the Purple Promise. We are here for your business, and our purpose is to connect people and possibilities. And I wish us wonderful possibilities here in LA at the World Trade Week and a great conference. Thank you so much.